and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we are going to be building up to Rayo against Barca. It is match day 3 here in La Liga, and it's another big one for us to tackle. And right here today, we've got more big words from Hansi Flick in his press conference, all centering around the crucial Fermin Lopez situation. We're going to be talking all about that. I think there's real questions as well in terms of the starting lineup. You know, what lineup are we going to see? I would expect here a few changes from Flick, and we also have here today the official Champions League schedule, because we now not only know who we're going to be facing, but now we know when. We're going to be talking about that too. It is all on the way. I hope you guys are doing well. Now let's do this. Because indeed, guys, on Sunday night at 9:30 p.m. local time, Barca are going to be heading to Madrid to face Rayo Vallecano, who I have to say, guys, they can be quite a tricky opponent even at the best of times. If you cast your minds back to last season, I mean, it was early on again in the campaign. It took a Dani Olmo-inspired entrance into the game to really turn things around in our favour. We won 2-1 on the night. Olmo came on at half-time, making his Barca debut back then. After all, the registration worries, we had it last summer too, but he came on and ended up scoring the winning goal. And this time around, I've got to say, guys, the surroundings are tricky. You know, Rayo as a team are already a bit tough, but I think given the pitch that we're playing on, it is far from ideal. I mean, there are massive concerns right now about the field, and if we look at it, I mean, it just looks dreadful. You know, there's no two ways about that. This is not the standard of field that we should see in a top league, in La Liga. It really is not good enough, guys, and there is real concern in terms of player welfare, in terms of the spectacle, of course, that we're going to see. Even Rayo's own coach admitted this is far from ideal. And yeah, both teams are going to play on it, but of course Barca are the team who work the ball, who move the ball around, who want to be playing there on quite a slick surface. And this basically follows on, by the way, from what we experienced last weekend against Levante. I mean, I was absolutely staggered when the game started, and it genuinely looked as though Levante had flooded their own pitch right before kickoff, just to slow things down for us. And right here, I'm just thinking right now, La Liga, they're so focused, it seems, on who or who shouldn't be registered, that they have forgot about the standard of pitches that the actual football matches are played on there. La Liga gonna wake up a little bit here, but hey, it's not just football, it is La Liga. What is interesting though as well about Rayo is that they've actually just played on Thursday, guys, a Conference League playoff match, and they did win that by 4-0, 5-0 on aggregate. It was comfortable for them, but I think this could go one of two ways. Obviously, it's a great win. They're on a real high now after getting back into Europe for only the second time in Rayo's history. You could see them really feeding off of all of that good energy, but at the same time, it was only on Thursday. You know, this is a pretty quick turnaround, and for a club here who are not really used to playing midweek European football, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they shape up on Sunday, how they physically recovered from that, what their energy levels are like, and we've got to play on that. We've got to hit them early, we've got to get them working, get them running, and make sure that we start this game quickly. But indeed, guys, in terms of concerns ahead of this game, well, we had a massive concern of our own regarding Gavi, and this all actually took place in training yesterday when we initially heard that Gavi had suffered a bit of a knock, a bit of discomfort there in his knee, which at the time was believed to be nothing too serious, but we heard he's going to be a doubt for Sunday's match against Rayo. But then as the night went on, and as the rumours really started to ramp up in the Catalan media, it started sounding more and more serious. You know, we were hearing about this is the same knee that, of course, he was operated on when he suffered that terrible ACL and meniscus injury, and we heard there was real concern and alarm bells ringing inside of the club. But I would just say right now, guys, on that front, things are looking a bit calmer today. This morning, we had an official statement from the club there that said that Gavi is experiencing discomfort in that right knee. He will miss the game against Rayo. He will also miss Spain's game in this upcoming international break. But Gavi's camp right now are telling the media that it's not a serious problem, that we don't have to panic too much, that it was a heavy knock, and the club have basically been waiting there for all of that swelling to go down before they do more and more tests. And right now, guys, I just hope everything is okay. You know, Gavi is one of those players. I mean, my heart sank yesterday when I was reading those rumours. He was out for such a long time with that terrible ACL injury. we don't want to see him miss any more time. He's back now. He's had a great pre-season. He's looking really, really promising, I would say, at the start of this brand new campaign. We want to be seeing him in this team. He can be a big part of it. Make no mistake about that. And let's just hope here that we can see him back very soon to be a big part of this Hansi Flick team. However, guys, I think one thing that we would have to say off the back of that there is it's another example of injuries. They can happen at any time, at any moment in the season. I mean, here we are, we're only very, very early in the campaign, and we're already having a few scares here and there, so we will need to count upon every single player. Every player will play their part and feel important in this campaign, and that brings us on to talk about what is happening with Fermin Lopez, because I've got to say, guys, these rumours, they're not really going away. The Chelsea links are still very much there. There still seems to be a bit of a decision to make on Fermin's side. Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? Does he want to leave the club? Are Barca going to accept offers that are coming their way? It still seems a little bit open, but I thought that's why it was so important today again that we heard the words of Hansi Flick. He is very much our spokesman right now. He is coming out and telling everybody what we feel as a fan base, what we want to see there in terms of the footballing side of things. We can all talk about the financials, we can all think about what the club needs in terms of money coming in, etc. But Flick is thinking about the team, about winning, about being a competitive outfit this season. And Flick said today, at the moment, Fermin is here. He said, I have spoken with him. I am convinced that he will stay, but at the end, I don't know what's going to happen. He said, we only have to wait and see. And he did say, I will be really happy when the market is closed. And I just think there, guys, that last sentence to me, I've never heard a Barca coach have to say that before. You think back in history here, usually it's Barca that are unsettling players, that they're the ones actually putting pressure on other teams. And I've heard many other coaches of clubs say, oh, well, I can't wait for the window to end so we can keep hold of our players. We're under a bit of pressure here. But for Barca to say that, for Barca to be in a position here where they feel a bit vulnerable in the transfer market, that is a first for me. I'll be honest here. That is very much the first time that we've experienced something like that at this club. And Flick did go into more detail later about what Fermin means to the team and more about maybe the decision that he's having to make. He said Fermin is a player who plays with great intensity, both with and without the ball. He moves between the lines, he helps us create space in that way, and he scores goals and he provides assists, he creates chances. And he did say he lives for Barca. He said, I don't really want to say too much, I don't want to speak for him, for example, but he has Barca in his heart. And you can feel real warmth from Flick. He does rate Fermin, he does value him in his team. He said, I told him my opinion, but that's between him and me. He did say, though, sometimes players have other thoughts, and also there's lots of people around players these days who maybe know more than we know. He said, at the end of the day, football, it's a big business. He said, I have to focus, though, on my team, and I'm really happy that Fermin plays for Barca. So I would just say there, Flick, I think, believes that Fermin will stay. He wants him to stay, but it's not 100% guaranteed right now. And speaking there about people around the players, we are hearing a lot of rumours that maybe Fermin's agents, they're kind of pushing him to leave. They do want him there to go and accept what is going to be bigger money from Chelsea. And I'm not just talking here about wages for the player. I'm not just talking about his money. I'm talking here about the agent. They can see money. They will chase the money. Of course, they will receive a much bigger cut if Fermin was to leave the club than if he was just to stay where he was. So the agents are always going to try and turn the heads of players, but we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Right now, Fermin is here. He's available for this weekend. It's going to be fascinating to see if he is in the starting lineup, and that is where we head next. Because the big news in terms of the squad that Barca will have available against Rayo this weekend is that Gerard Martin is now available for Hansi Flick. And that is a big addition there, a big boost to the defence. Flick has been really keen to have him back there. He wants to bolster the options that he has in that defensive area. So Martin being registered is good news, and we are still waiting on all of the registrations, hopefully taking place soon. But what we're hearing right now in the media, and what we have heard right the way through this week, is in terms of defence, we might see a bit of a shake-up. We might see Hansi Flick here just reorganise things a little bit. And I think that really comes off the back of what we saw against Levante. It was a very chaotic performance there. It wasn't that structured or that organised at many points, especially in the first half of that game. And I'm just wondering here, are we going to see Pau Cubarsí back at right centre-back? That is something that I would love to see, that I really do want to see. Because even Pau, he's had his critics over the start of the season here. Some people have criticised his performances. A few few mistakes maybe creeping in, but I'd just love to see him back where he's most comfortable. I feel as though that's where you have to judge him, in the position that he is most used to. I think that's where you'll see the best of his game, not only defensively, not only there in terms of keeping that high line, being right in amongst it there with the offside trap, but you will also see the very best of his distribution, where he really can impact games. Now, in my opinion, guys, I would like to see alongside him Andreas Christensen, because we've seen Araujo start the first 2 games of the season. I think that's fine. We want to have a good look at everybody, want to give everybody their opportunity, and I just think with that in mind, it wouldn't hurt, would it, to see Christensen starting in this game. He is fit, he is ready to play, and I just think here, give him a chance here alongside Kubasi on that left side. It's somewhere where he's a lot more comfortable. Christensen is a lot more comfortable at left centre-back than Araujo is, for example, there. So it makes sense to try this and see what that kind of partnership could be like for the season ahead. And of course at right back, guys, it's a massive question in terms of Koundé. I think alarm bells will genuinely be ringing if we don't see him in the starting lineup here for 3 games in a row, because it's all good and well saying, oh, maybe just getting a bit of extra rest. He's about to go on international duty with France, and he's going to play probably all the games. He's probably going to play all the minutes there. So we're not about to be resting our players so that they can be fully fit and firing for their countries here. We want to have the best of Koundé. We want to experience him here in the team. So I just think here, surely he will return to the lineup. He is a very important player. He's very powerful there, and he supports Lamine Yamal well. Don't forget that as well on the right side. So I would like to see him back in the lineup. Balde, of course, will be there at left back. He's had a good start to the season. We're of course going to have to rotate him as he goes on, but he'll be fine to start in our defence this time. So a bit of a reshuffle there in the back line, and then into midfield. We are going to see the return of Frenkie de Jong, and I do have to say, I think we missed him against Levante there. We missed his influence, his impact there alongside Pedri in that midfield. So it's good to see Frenkie back available again after the birth of his child. Great to see that. Hope he's doing very well indeed. Alongside him, it's going to be the genius. It's going to be the magical player that is Pedri. And it's another weekend where, guys, get yourselves comfortable. Get ready to watch magic from these boots. Pedri is phenomenal, and what a start to the season he's had there. Impeccable level, just unbelievable consistency from this man, and I cannot wait to see him in action again. But ahead of those two, who's going to be the attacking midfielder? Because I think it's a massive question now for Hansi Flick. You've got Dani Olmo, you've got Fermin Lopez, and it feels significant here. Again, we're only early in the season, but I think it's a big call. Olmo hasn't been involved too much in these opening games, and I think for Fermin, given what we're talking about here, given his future being very much up in the air, is he going to play Fermin? Is he going to show him there a bit of trust, a bit of faith? Is he going to show that he counts on him for the season by giving him an all-important start here? But part of me wonders, given the entire week of speculation that Fermin has had, his head right now, it's probably a bit scrambled. Is he going to be able to fully focus on the job in hand? That's going to be something that Flick will need to decide. I think maybe he won't actually start in this game. I think maybe in this game we will see Dani Olmo. I don't think we're going to see any experimentation in that 10. I think it's either going to be Olmo or it's going to be Fermin. It's a flip of a coin right now. But which way would you go? Would you start Olmo? Would you start Fermin? Do you need to show trust? Do you need to show him something? Or is it almost time? Of course then, guys, we are going to see both Lamine Yamal. Cannot wait to see him again this weekend. Of course, he has also started the season very well. But what would you expect from this absolutely incredible young player? And of course, we're going to see Rafinha back in his preferred position there, over on the left-hand side. Like I say, I don't think Flick is going to experiment here. We need the points. We need to start with something very familiar. So it is going to be Yamal, Rafinha. But who's the 9? That's going to be the big question here. Has Ferran Torres done enough in these opening 2 games to continue as the starting number 9? And I think here it would be a big win for him if Flick does stick with him, if he does choose him there ahead of Robert Lewandowski, who is back now, who is fully fit, who is ready to start the game if Flick chooses. But I think Ferran, he has got the edge right now. 2 goals in 2 games. It could have been even more, as we said. There have been a few chances missed on his side, but he has started the season well. And do you think he should continue as the 9? I think there's several areas that could go either way. It's good to see us have options. That's what Flick wants. Flick wants to be making big decisions before every game. He wants to be having to choose between several informed players. That is the sign of a successful team right here, guys. So this is the team that I think we could see. But would you make Any changes to that? Now, in terms of my prediction for this game, guys, I have to admit I was absolutely dreadful against Levante. I mean, I was way off the mark, quite simply because I predicted a clean sheet for Barca. That did not happen. That was terrible. But okay, what are we going to go with in this game? I think we're going to win. I think we're going to make it 3 out of 3. And you've got to remember, if we do that, we've actually managed to win 3 away games in a row, which is not easy. It's not been an easy start to the season here for Barca, and especially with this pitch as well. So I'm going to go with quite a narrow win. You know, I'm thinking about 2-1. I'm thinking about maybe 3-1 at a push. I don't think it's going to be very, very easy for us in this game. So I'm going to go here, Barca 3, Rayo 1, a hard-fought victory, and one that we will certainly take and move on here, gather momentum early on in this La Liga season. But of course, guys, I did mention there that we have news from the Champions League. We all saw the draw earlier on in the week, and I think we were all very, very excited by the teams that came out here as Barca's opponents for the league phase. But now we do know the order of which we will face them. The dates have now been released, and have a look at that. First Champions League game under the lights in September. We are heading to Newcastle, to St. James's Park, and what an occasion that will be. I think that's going to be such an exciting game. And I would just say here on Newcastle, it's probably better for us to face them earlier in the season, as early as possible really, because obviously at their club right now, with the whole Isaac situation, they've got new players coming in, there's lots of change, there could be even more change in the final days here of the window, and I think it's important then to play them as early as you can, before all of that fully dies down, before all of the changes sort of get knitted together in some ways. It could be a nice time to play Newcastle. Following that, we have Paris Saint-Germain at home on the 1st of October. And again, nice and early. Time to play them there. 1st of October, you know, just over 1 month time until we play PSG. I cannot wait for that game. Then we are home against Olympiacos. We are away then at Club Brugge before on the 25th of November, we head to Stamford Bridge. And that game, I mean, even just thinking about playing away at Chelsea, I mean, those are the kinds of nights here. These are the kinds of Champions League clashes that we want to be seeing. I'm so excited. I'm genuinely so excited for that game. At home then in December, we have Eintracht Frankfurt. That's going to be another one to circle on the calendar. Before then in January, when you kind of hope that things might be starting to get wrapped up. That's the way that it was last season. We were so good that we'd almost confirmed our place by then anyway. We've got Slavia Prague, and then the week later, Copenhagen at home. So it's quite a furious start away at Newcastle, at home to PSG. Looking forward to those games. But what do you make of the schedule, guys? And where do you predict that we will finish in the big league table? Last season, of course, we were second only to Liverpool. Can we replicate that this time round? Or can we go one better? So please do indeed leave your thoughts on everything that we have discussed in today's video. What is your score prediction for Barca against Rayo? Who do you think will score the first goal? Can Ferran make it 3 from 3? I will see you guys after the game for the full review. Thank you indeed for all of your support. Enjoy your weekend. But until next time, as always, Vesca, El Barça.